Welcome to Hotheads, where activism happens, on regularradio.com, making history almost every week now. We just heard new news and history in the ads, for crying out loud. That is a first, I think, for Massachusetts, a doctor's office with a recorded ad from the guy behind the board, Matt Tomor.
I am, if it is actually true, I am fucking so excited about it. I don't know if you have F words on your show, but
oh yeah, it's okay.
I'm super excited about it, and only because Unregular Radio embraces that, and it's cool.
And it is news. It is news because it's news to me. I mean, I'm taking medical marijuana consultations from patients right now for free. I'm basically offering a service where I give the patients all the information, all the advice that I know, where the doctors are, how much it costs, what the process, how it goes. From there, whether they should look to get a caregiver or horticulture, and I have experts to help them through the whole process. And I'm offering that service for free right now. And I didn't know that there was another doctor's office opening up so close, and I'm very excited.
It's right in Brighton.
Yeah, there's going to be one in the city now, and
so it's happening everywhere.
Yeah, you get the news even in the ads on Unregular Radio. And again, like I said, we're making history here. We're always all over the medical marijuana in Massachusetts. We got a big show today. We got great news and sad news and bad news and haters, and everything is happening all at once around us in the show. And things have changed on the show recently a little bit. But it's a very exciting time as we're working it out, and we're going to do some new changes today again.
Yeah,
we're kind of we've focused a lot on interviewing some of the best people that we like in activism and reform. That's Casey Hoye too. She's in the studio.
Yep,
you can say hello.
Hi.
And we've done a lot of interviews in the past, and we're still going to do interviews. But I think that one of the things that we've kind of gradually started to do is to get into more news stories, and especially with Casey's segment that we do in the beginning of the show every week, the news with Casey Hoye, and it's really kind of people are noticing it. And beyond that, even over time, we've been doing a lot of panels where we have different people weighing in on subjects, and that seems to be what is really exciting for a lot of people, even beyond some of the big guests that we get, is the conversations that we have live in the studio. So we're going to be doing much more of that. We're going to invite a lot more political type guests, whether they're with the Republicans or the Democrats, reporters locally, Occupy movement, Tea Party. We're going to have them come in, and we're going to have them clash, and we're going to talk about the big national news stories as well as the statewide stories that we always cover on the show. So we're very excited about that. One other thing that we've started to do on the show recently is challenge people. We hold ourselves up to a certain standard on the show, and we're challenging other people on that standard, whether they're politicians, which Frank really has done to the Republican Party over the last few weeks. He said he basically, one of the videos is liberty a dirty word?
Yep. For
Republican, and he's in the Republican Party and was a delegate to the National Convention from Massachusetts. Frank Capone, our co-host, who comes in a little later because he does work a job every week on Saturday. Frank will be here shortly. And a couple of the Republicans running for office responded this week, which was very exciting.
Yeah, exactly. I was stoked to see him hit us back.
I was really surprised by one of them, and we're going to get into that. Well, it's big news. Another thing that we related to this is we kind of came up, I have a phrase, our own worst enemy is the people in this movement. And I see this over and over again. And specifically, when I'm talking about the movement, it could be any activist movement. But for whatever reason, it always seems to be revolve. What do you know what movement I'm usually talking about when I say that?
It's usually cannabis.
Yeah, why is that?
I think it's because it's such a contentious issue, and people tend to pigeonhole into smaller and smaller sects with cannabis. They say, like, oh, I'm for full legalization, or from a civil liberties standpoint, or oh, I'm for medical, or oh, I'm for personal liberties, or whatever it is. Like, people tend to divide themselves into these tiny little categories and then proceed to fuck everything up.
Yeah, I think they know it all. Like, I think for whatever reason, cannabis does open people's mind and make them read and get educated more. But at the same time, it doesn't help you build other skills like social skills and life skills. You have to actually do the hard work on those. And I think the other thing I notice, and I'm going to call it out, is mental illness.
Yeah.
Mental illness is one of the reasons a lot of people use cannabis. They don't use those other pills. They're using cannabis. But that mental illness doesn't go away because it's not cured because of cannabis.
No, it's you're treating the symptoms.
Yeah.
And I think that a lot of people get caught up in the symptoms and the treatment of symptoms and like how it affects them, and because they're using it, or because a friend is using it, or because a family member is using it to alleviate some kind of symptom, they tend to say this is the only way. Yes. And
I think that they don't address it within themselves. They're the first ones to point it out in other people, and usually what they're pointing out in other people is actually a reflection of themselves. They see it in other people.
They usually say something about irresponsible use,
which
like that's a big one.
Yeah.
Or they say something about they'll go on with dodgy practices. They'll start flinging stones about like how other people manage their shit.
And usually that's about their own management. 99% of the time.
I mean, in my experience, it's either projection or truth, but I mean that's not really something to get like banged out in a public forum.
It's true, and that's the point that I want to make. You know, our own worst enemy our own worst enemy is the people in this movement. And I'm just going to point out, we're going to do a couple of them this week because they come up. Yeah, and I've had enough of playing it one way. You can play all these fucking psycho mental fucking games, and we act professional. No. We will fight back, and especially when you attack the activism and the people that we work with on this show and this community, because we're like, if you get on the show and you're contributing, you're a fucking warrior. You don't get on the show unless you're that. And basically this week I posted on MikeCann.net. I posted an email that the King of Pot had forwarded me, and the King of Pot is a great person, activist, supporter. Yep. Basically I look at, what we do this as a public service. We don't make money. Have you ever made any money on this, Casey?
No.
I've never made any money on any of my activism. I'm down in the hole many hundreds and thousands of hours and money. And I don't have much money, but I've given more than I've ever received. And I would say the same, but I would definitely say the same about the King of Pot.
Absolutely.
This guy writes checks. He's one of the people that actually has contributed to me. I would say he's the second biggest contributor. The number one contributor is unregularradio.com. They've never given me cash, but what they do give me is the contribution of the studio every week, 2 hours, where it's much below the cost that it would for anyone else off the street. That is a huge contribution. Unregular Radio is awesome in that way. The King of Pot is also awesome in that way. He helps out. So he sent me an email from Congresswoman Nikki Songus.
Yep. We're actually going to be covering that a little bit later in the news as well.
And it was a great letter. It was a great email. It was basically showing that another Democrat, he had sent her an email about medical marijuana and marijuana reform, and she wrote a great email back, and we got a great response. And it's inspiring. Like when he does something like that and sends it to me, I know he's excited about it. He's showing me he's done something today, and he sends it to me because he knows I'll like it. And so I posted it on MikeCann.net, as I always would. Posted his picture and her picture, and I gave it a nice little title like Nikki Songus emails the King of Pot. It's kind of funny. And so I posted to a couple email lists, local email lists for activists and marijuana reform locally in Massachusetts.
Yep.
Both are pretty good email lists. One I would say is a little more on topic. Run by Terry Franklin. He's a good dude. He runs a good email list. The other email list is often kind of off topic. Ridiculously off. I mean, we're talking about, you got people posting about lizards on there, like, the David Icke. You ever see that shit?
Oh god, the reptilians.
Yeah.
Ugh.
He makes all the people that question the government look like nutcases. That's gets posted on there. No one says anything. You got other people. One guy who I think basically threatened to kill police and wanted to protest the police when the police got shot up in Manchester. I mean, the stuff that goes on this email list that no one says anything about and lets it go, and just like ridiculous shit.
Yeah.
So that's the history of this email list, and it's one of the top marijuana reform groups in Mass that I've worked with for years. That I no longer officially work with, but we don't need to get into all of that. But what you need to know is, so I post this link. I post a link. Usually, a lot of times I'll post a whole news story for free because it's on MikeCann.net. Anyone can use any of our stuff, Creative Commons. They can put it on their website, on their face. I don't care.
Yeah.
Same with our videos. You could edit them. You can use them, whatever you want to do. I posted the link because the I don't know, it wasn't working when I was copying and pasting it to the email. It just looked ridiculous. And so I just posted the link. And this clown gets up. And this guy supposedly is a lawyer, an attorney in Massachusetts, a practicing attorney. And I don't know who he is. Like, he claims he's an attorney, and two other people, one of them I somewhat trust, says he knows that he is an attorney, and he's not the attorney I think he is. But it remains to be seen. But he is chummy with another attorney that, they're basically attacking me whenever they get the chance on this email list. No one says anything. Basically, I post a link, and then this clown posts. Now, he doesn't do this privately. He does this on an email list to 500, 600, 700 people.
Yeah.
Seems to be Mike's posts are being very much like the site and probably using logo as they promote his site because you have to go to his blog. Does Dr. Grinspoon know his image is being used in order to get to the substance? In this case, he fails in the blog to include the most important information is that Nikki needs to be encouraged to sponsor the current bills, and then he lists 5 bills that are up at the U.S. Congress.
Yep.
And then he says, by directing traffic to his site and serve 2 purposes, one on topic and the other to direct traffic to. What the fuck is that?
Well, okay, so anytime you're posting a link anywhere, or even if you're posting a full story, the goal is to direct traffic somewhere. You know what I mean? So, I mean, that makes that point completely irrelevant in my mind.
And who gives a shit?
Especially on email lists.
I'd rather have people see it look nice on MikeCann.net than in the email. And if I do post it in the email, that's a public service. Yeah. That's up to me.
Well, I mean, also, I'm on a ton of email lists, so it's just like when I get emails with 5,000 words in them, I ignore them.
Yeah.
I'd much rather have a link, click over to it, bookmark it, or read it on a web page because that means that I'm showing my support by that person getting that web hit.
Yeah. And who gives a shit about that anyways? But then, the Grinspoon thing is ridiculous. You know what? Sensi Seeds, they have a little partnership with our website. They offer us promotion. They offer us some articles. We have a little partnership. And he works with Sensi Seeds, and they gave us the banner of Dr. Grinspoon to put up there. That is actually a favor from me to Dr. Grinspoon. So they're making something that I'm doing a favor for someone look like I'm ripping him off.
Yeah. Which
is asshole. Again, so basically, false statement, no apology.
Yeah.
No email to me personally. And, he's comparing me to a website, right? That I can't even talk about, the correspondence, because this is supposed to be private, protected. I am still on an organization's email list where I was a board member for over 10 years.
Yeah.
I still have confidential information that I still advise that board. I don't have a vote. I don't have any power, but I do have the power of being myself and having a history and knowing what's going on. And so I have some information that he's comparing me to another website. And I'm basically saying, wait, I don't even know. I haven't even checked out that other website. But does that website has that website got more politicians on the record on marijuana statewide, locally, nationally than anyone else in the state of Massachusetts? No. How can you compare my work in marijuana reform to anybody else? Fuck you.
Yeah.
Fuck you. You actually, who the fuck are you? What have you done? Nameless fucking lawyer. You're probably charging people for the fucking free shit I'm giving them. Is that why you're bad? Is that why you're mad? I think it is. You know, I'm really sick of these backbiters that do nothing.
Yeah.
Like, show me you asking Capuano about it. Show me you asking Governor Deval Patrick about it, and Governor Patrick quoting my libertarian. You know, the governor knew who I was when I called WBZ. You know, show me where you're doing that work. I don't see it. I don't see you doing shit. You're telling me what to do. Fuck you. I've done more than anybody else related to this subject. And that letter from the King of Pot kicked ass.
It did.
Fuck you for saying anything but saying, you know what, King of Pot, you fucking rule. That's all you should say. And this guy's name, I'm going to call him out. His name's Standing Against the Confederacy at yahoo.com. And again, it's short for Standing Against the Confederacy of Dunces. This is something another lawyer used to say. And they're standing against their own confederacy. They are the dunces.
Yeah.
End of story. Our own worst enemy is the people in this movement. And you're one of them. You are one of them.
It's brutal, dude.
You know? And if you want to weigh in, and if that lawyer's listening and has the balls to actually call us, 617-606-3700, bring it on. Like, have the balls to come on and defend yourself. Let's hear your voice.
No, I'd really like to hear what the guy has to say. Like, if it maybe, like, I mean, even just giving him the benefit of the doubt of not having, like, any context and being completely ignorant of everything ever, I'd really like to hear what he has to say about it.
Haters.
Haters be
Jealous
hating.
fuckers. I mean, I could go all day with the shit that these people have pulled, the things that they have done, and the little man disease that they have. They are so fucking jealous of everybody. Anyone who has any type of success, it's always, they're going to get too powerful. They're going
to take away from the movement.
Yeah.
It's about them and not the movement.
Yeah.
It's that's the stupidest thing I've ever heard.
Yeah.
It's ridiculous.
Yeah. I mean, the King of Pot, how can you not say, dude, King of Pot, that's awesome. You got Nikki Songus on the record. I can't believe she wrote that. 5 years ago, we would have never gotten an email from Nikki Songus.
2 years ago, we wouldn't have gotten it.
You know?
Like, I mean, now that we're looking at, like, the increase towards a state's majority on some kind of cannabis reform, more and more politicians and more older politicians are speaking out.
Yeah.
It isn't just the young politicians that are coming up. We're seeing.
And you know what's really... I'm sorry.
No, go ahead.
It's really frustrating, too. You know, I heard one of the best radio hosts in this city, and I'm going to say that now because he has gotten to that level. I mean, he had me in goosebumps the other night on WBZ. Bradley J. Mm-hmm. I've listened to him since I was a kid at BCN, and now he's at WBZ, and he's really getting into what he's doing and how good he is at it, at talking to the people that call in. And he had a question this week. One of the questions was, is it better to forgive, to let it go, or is it better to hold a grudge? And he said, isn't it truly easier just to forgive someone and let it go? And kind of the cowardly way out, to just say nothing, let it go, forgive. But the stronger thing to do is to hold a grudge.
Call it out.
To take it personal, to call it out. And that's all I'm doing. Because I've had enough. Like, when you do something like that, standing against the Confederacy, and when the 600, 400, 700, whoever, how many people are on that email list? I know a lot of those people on the email list. When you say nothing, you're just as bad as he is. You don't say anything about the King of Pot doing that email, how great that was.
Yeah.
Why not? What are you afraid of? Like, this is the reason why people have been quitting this movement, moving away from it. This is one of the reasons why the King of Pot left for a while. This is one of the reasons why I've moved away from marijuana reform. And I'm at the point where I'm basically like, you know what? No one's saying anything. Fuck them. I won't even post on that email list anymore. I won't even support that organization anymore. Like, you know, I'm sick of halfway measures too. Like, they come back to me and they want me to do stuff, but then they say, fuck you again. I'm not dealing with that from anybody.
Yeah.
And especially in regards to the activism and the real work that people do.
Yeah.
You know, when you disparage and shit on the work that I've done, the work that the King of Pot has done, and the work that this show has done, and the people on this show, you're going to get hammered. And that's what our segment, Our Own Worst Enemy, is the people in this movement. That's what we're going to be doing partially today, beyond all the good stuff. So we should take a quick break.
Did you say we're getting hammered?
Well, we're not getting hammered.
Oh, you meant, no, I know, it's a joke. I was trying to break
Lighten
the
it
ice.
up?
Yeah, right. Before you go to break, why not?
No, I'm looking at the time and I'm like, man, we've hammered the time.
But I agree with you, though.
Oh, you do?
On some things.
Okay. Yeah, I mean, I'm not saying get mad about every little fucking thing, but there's certain things that are important. There's a line that you shouldn't allow to be crossed, and sometimes that means giving them the cold shoulder and just letting it go that way. It doesn't mean you have to rage like I do on single thing, and for the most part I haven't. For the last almost year I've basically said I'm not going to say negative shit about anybody anymore, but at a certain point there's some things that you have to say, and that's what we're going to do on the show. We're still going to be positive, we're still going to laugh and have fun, and that's what we're going to do in a minute. We're going to come back and we got to do the news, so we're going to have to take a quick break here, play some music, come back with Casey Hoye, and get into the news this week.